didn't take that long.
Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Oldsmar City Council meeting of June 5th, 2018 to order. If you'll please rise for our invocation and our pledge that will be led by our interim city attorney tonight, Rob.
Dear God, we seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with that which is best for the city of Oldsmar and our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our normal city attorney, Mr. Tom Trask, is not here, and Rob Eschenfender. I did have it right the first time.
I'm normal too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah. We're not used to the humor over on this side.
Wow.
No, it's just
It's true.
He'll be listening to this recording.
Oh, he knows. Welcome once again. Tonight's first agenda item is our citizens open forum. We only have a couple of rules that you keep it to no more than 5 minutes. You state your name and address clearly for the record, and you can talk towards anything on tonight's agenda. However, if you're talking about item 8 or 11, those are both public hearings, and we'll call for your comments at that time. Having said that, anybody on this side of the council like to address the council? Anybody on this side?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Sharon Edwards at 60 Ashley Lane, Oldsmar, Florida.
Jerry Peruzzi, Upper Tampa Bay Chamber.
And I'd like to thank you all very much for allowing Project Pop Drop to take over your city for the month of June and partnering up with us, the mayor and the city and the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. We thought 38, but we have 41 Project Pop Drop collection bins around the city, collecting canned goods, gently used clothing, toiletries, Walmart gift cards, casheroony, you name it. We'll take it if someone else can use it, benefiting Oldsmar Cares.
And of course, the Chamber is proud to partner up with the city and Project Pop Top for this great organization collecting food and clothing for Oldsmar Cares. We'll be going on the whole month, and we'll finish it off on June 30th. Watch Facebook because they're doing a whole bunch of videos with the mayor, and the three of us are doing videos together. So.
And last year, I think we had, 15 businesses?
15,
So
yeah. We were hoping for 30, 41 we ended up with.
And that's great. And some of them, we've been out to them. Some of them are in locations that, the general public can obviously get to, but we have some Nielsen, Microlumen, and Jameson
PowerClean,
and
yep.
PowerClean, Jameson Labs, that have one specifically for them to get like socks and underwear, new socks, new underwear, and things like that are really in need. So
That the employees will.
yeah, the employees will help. So yeah, there's a whole list of them. So keep an eye out for that. And it's for a great cause. And if you don't mind, tell about, your company and what they do, which is really the backbone of this whole thing.
Platinum International is what funds this. We sell toner cartridges for your printers, and we take 11% of all the proceeds from every cartridge sold, and we buy food and we feed the homeless. That is what Project Pop Drop is. I brought that to Florida from California 3 years ago, and as I was distributing the food to the different homeless shelters, I learned that they needed so much more. They need clothing, they need toiletries. Actually, Mayor Beavis and Jerry Peruzzi hooked me up with Joshua Powell at Walmart because I was buying the food over at Costco, and he said, look, what are you buying? And I told him, and he said, give me your list, and we compared prices. He was impressed with what Project Pop Drop did, that he started giving grants to the different shelters that I go to. So it's one big, huge community, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this in this community, so thank you.
And it's awesome, and we're glad to team with the Chamber. And this is a huge one that you do this month, but you do this every month for different charities throughout, and you feed How many
We
through the,
contribute to feeding over 90,000 meals every single month to the different homeless shelters in the Tampa Bay area, as well as California, and we do a couple other drops around the United States as well. So keep printing, keep buying Project or Platinum International Pop Drop Toner.
yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Anybody else? Yep, Jerry, another Jerry.
Yep, another Jerry. Jerry Custin up at Tampa Bay Chamber right downstairs. Also partnering with the city next week on a legislative forum, which we'll be doing next Tuesday night, 6:30 to 9, right in this room. We've invited basically everybody, Florida State Senate District 16 candidates, several, I think we have 3 House Representative candidates, including obviously ours, but the other 2 that fit in our chamber footprint. They'll all be coming, and then I've invited candidates from both the Hillsborough and Pinellas commissioners and school boards. So we'll have 6 different panels going on next Tuesday night right here at 6:30.
Wow, awesome.
Did they all confirm? Did ours confirm? I'm just curious.
I had not all confirmed. About a month ago, I went out and sent the first round out, and probably have about 20 responses. Now I've got, and positive ones. And now I'm going back the second time and confirming them. I do have confirmed Ed Hooper, Leo Carulli, and then there's a couple because I don't think the close date happens till like June 28th. So there's been some couple people dropped out of the races, and I found out today that Amber Murphy or Amanda Murphy has jumped into the Senate race. So I invited her today. So we'll see. But I got,
State Senate race?
yeah,
Wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, found it out today.
That's great. I hope our citizens come out. I'm in Mexico at the time, so I won't be here.
Oh, can we move it to Mexico?
Pardon?
Can we move it to Mexico?
We could, but no one would be there.
Either way.
6:30 next Tuesday.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Anybody else in the room like to address the city council? Seeing no one, will close the citizens open forum. Next is the mayor's minute for June 5th, 2018. A couple of recap items. On a sad note, Vice Mayor Seidel, Councilmember Sraki, Councilmember McGee, and myself were honored to go and represent the city of Oldsmar for Commissioner John Maroney, of course, who lost his life recently, and big advocate of the city. And it was very nice service, but he lost his battle with cancer after. Actually, I believe he beat cancer twice and then really got more of an infection, which I think Kathy and I have talked about that sometimes happens, that your body's just beat down so much that the infection was what really took over on him. So he was a great steward for not only our area, but the state as well. So also remembering Florida's Fallen photo exhibit. Thank you to Curlew Hills for once again bringing this very moving exhibit to our city. Hopefully you got a chance to check that out. Little stories about those that sacrificed their lives for the freedom of our country from the Tampa Bay area and around the state. Also, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, honored to attend the Sheriff's Annual Awards Luncheon. Congratulations to their members who were recognized for going above and beyond their jobs to ensure safety for our residents. We mean business. Our monthly visit by the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber, the city, and myself, we went to Quality Thin Films, which the owner of that was involved with the Hubble telescope and putting the film on that, not the film that they needed to correct, or the lens, but the film that went on it. Also, Center Bank, which used to be Jefferson Bank, right there at Forest Lakes and Tampa Road, and then we visited Mugs and Jugs to see how they're doing. The annual Memorial Day ceremony. Thank you to our Veterans Advisory Board for another stellar ceremony. Keynote speaker Donald Carey, president of the Gold Star Fathers of Florida. Presentation of colors by the American Legion Post 238 of Safety Harbor. National anthem by Mallory Gabardi, and full military honors. Bald Eagle was there. We had a flag folding ceremony that talked about the representation of the 17 different folds, which was very interesting. And thank to Frankie's Patriot Barbecue for providing some barbecue for us. And I did hear a couple of comments afterward that they have been to the VA hospital for their ceremony, and they've been to several other ones around, and that ours, I think they said, was very well done. And just the location, Al and I have talked about it as well, just the setting itself of that park really sets us apart. Thanks to Congressman Bill Rackus, and Representative Grant was there as well. We were honored to host the TDC, which is the Tourist Development Council of Pinellas County. They came and held their May meeting right here in this council chambers. If you didn't get to attend, it's interesting. It's basically how the tax from the bed tax from Pinellas County, what the things that it goes towards, and the projects that they have working. Upcoming events. This coming weekend, Oldsmar Disc Golf. It's the Gold Rush Tournament. It's Saturday, June 9th and Sunday, June 10th. The first tournament and launch of the gold level tees for disc golf, which is a sanctioned, I guess, event, right? So we're excited about that, kind of a ribbon cutting. We're going to have pro disc golf players from all around the country that come here. And if you've ever thrown a Frisbee, these discs are phenomenal to watch. They can throw them. Well, it's sad to say how far they could probably throw them all the way down State Street and land it within 2 feet of the sewer lid, much like us. I mean, right?
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the ribbon cutting.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Can you turn his mic off?
Mr. Mayor, he spawned of the water, let's just say that.
And of course, you guys talked about Project Pop Drop. So that wraps up the mayor's minute and a half. And the next item is we have nothing in our CRA, so we'll get to our consent docket. We have a couple of items. Approve the minutes of the May 1st, 2018 City Council meeting. Approve the minutes of May 15th, 2018 City Council meeting. Accept the resignation of Shannon Tame from the Leisure Services Advisory Board. Authorize the city manager to advertise 2018-010-ITB, construction of the Burbank Road Extension, FPN #4394118-1-54-01. And the last item, approve the tentative agenda. If nobody wishes to pull anything, I need a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item is the City of Oldsmar. The agenda shows 2 items. Item number 7 is the presentation of the business of the quarter is going to be moved to our next meeting in 2 weeks. We're not able to attend. So that gives us the presentation of Show Us Your Oldsmar Photo Contest Award winners. And I'll come down and do that, and I'll kind of neat, we do this photo contest and the pictures actually get used in the city's annual budget report that then gets submitted and wins awards. But during the April 2018, a call was made out to the community to show us your Oldsmar with our annual photo contest of images from around the city. Over 200 photos were submitted, which is an increase of 400% from our 2017 contest, all competing for the opportunity to have their photograph featured in the city's annual budget report. We thank everyone who participated, and congratulations to our 2018 winners. Third place, I don't know if we're all here, but Dale Lusader. Yep, come on up, Dale. Did I say that right? His was entitled Soap Opera. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Picture
There's
of
a gift
council.
card on the back. I don't know what it is, how much it's for, or where it is. If it's really good, call me. I'll give you my number. Yeah, we can go do laundry. It's for the laundromat. Photo. Yeah. Where do you want us? Is this okay?
Now, if you can move the picture. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. I'm going to mess this one up, so we'll go with Lucine Roche. Making Friends at Bicentennial Park. How cool is that? And as well, there's a gift certificate on the back. Do you want to get them all 3 up here?
We can.
First place, Anthony Cassell. Way to go. Congratulations, first place. Let's get a picture.
That's beautiful.
And you get a picture. Yeah, can we get the other 2 to come up? Yours is, I think you get free snacks out of the vending machine.
Who's that to have a skinny arm?
Hey, Doug, Mayor, Doug,
Can we get the other two?
Doug,
What?
can you have him?
Zoom in on it?
Zoom in on the
Yeah, we'll get 'em.
photos, yeah.
Yeah, we're good. I'm gonna get them all up here. Where's the? Bring your picture up. Can you get those on?
You know, the 1,000 people that watch this would like to see
Right.
him.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, wow, very nice.
You can go tighter.
There you go.
They'll be in the budget too.
Yeah,
Those will be in the budget.
there you
cool.
go.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we have one item under our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, this is a second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 18-4. I'll read the title. This is an ordinance relating to the development of communications infrastructure, amending Chapter 58 of Part 1 of the Oldsmar City Code concerning right-of-way use by utilities and communication services, and creating provisions for right-of-way use by small and micro cell facilities, amending Article 14 of Part 3 of the Oldsmar Land Development Code concerning telecommunication antennas and towers, providing for definitions, making related findings, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date. Mayor and Council, we have had several presentations to you all on this item. So unless you require an additional one, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you to open up to a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address item 8 on the agenda? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. I need a motion for discussion.
So move.
Second? Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? This is the second reading. No comments, no concerns? Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McKee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beveland?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2018-04, amending Chapter 58 of Part 1 of the Oldsmar City Code concerning right-of-way use by utilities and communication services, and amending Article 14 of Part 3 of the Oldsmar Land Development Code concerning telecommunications antenna and towers, is passed and adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Item 9 is request approval of Pinellas County Sewer Service and Supply Agreement. 20-year sewer service area and supply agreement between the city and Pinellas County expired on March 19th, 2018, and has been updated. The purpose of this agreement was to outline rates and flows between the two parties for treatment of wastewater from unincorporated Pinellas County by the city and the return of reclaimed water flows to the county. The primary aspects of the updated agreement include a commitment on the gallons per day of the flow in both directions of how much we will treat and how much we are required to provide at their demand, and the pricing. We've been operating under the terms of the old agreement without any problems. Pinellas County had this tied up in their legal department for a while, which is why it was late.
Thank you. Staff, I guess, Nan, do we know about capacity? I mean, does this have any bearing on our capacity, or, if we're down for maintenance or things like that? Oop, hi, Nan.
No, we have plenty of capacity for this. It's effectively what we're treating is the southern portion of East Lake Woodlands from the power lines south, and we've been doing it for, I believe the last 20-year agreement had a previous agreement. Is that true, Al?
That is
Yes,
true.
and the term of this one is 10 years, which is one of the other changes I neglected to mention, but that's true.
We've been servicing that area for a long time.
Yeah, I just, for the long time, we've also had a lot of growth of our own in the area, so just a concern or question of that.
Some people don't know this, Mayor, but part of East Lake Woodlands is still in the city of Oldsmar.
I didn't know that.
The people that live there don't know that. But all of those townhouses next to Forest Lake, Tampa Road,
Yeah.
they're all in the city of Oldsmar.
They're in the city limits?
They're in the city limits, and they've been in the city limits since 1976. They are in the city limits.
I didn't know that.
I have a question. Am I allowed to ask Nan?
Most people don't know it, but when we
I have
add,
questions for you, but now later.
Nan, I have a quick question. The tank at the sports complex, this reclaimed water, where's it go to? Do you know where it services?
Primarily the area of Pinellas County Utilities, their reclaimed water that's east of Lake Tarpon. Their plant for this northern county area is all the way out on alternate 19. And so that tank is primarily to service that East Lake Road corridor for their reclaimed water customers.
Thank you. Didn't know that.
And I guess to the same point, is there a capacity issue? Do they use all we give? Could we give them more without affecting our own city?
they don't ask for more.
They have never used the amount, I think there was 1 month recently where they used more than what they sent us. They've had the ability to take 250,000 gallons over our agreement amount. They've never taken the full amount. There's only a handful of days a year that we're not able to provide that to them. This is an interruptible agreement. They understand that if we have an emergency or in some way we have to service our own customers and we don't have the excess flow, that we will give them notice and not provide that to them.
That was put in the original contracts.
Right. And that's part of the reason why they get a bulk rate that's a wholesale rate, is because it's interruptible flow.
Sure, okay.
Also make money.
Yeah, but I'd also like to compliment the staff because I know that we got a rate increase with what we're charging them. And so.
Good.
After a short 40 years.
40-year lag.
No, I think the reclaimed water, it wasn't the 40, it's been about 20 on the
We didn't have it
reclaimed
40
water.
years ago, so.
Yeah, they finished building the tank 2007, I think, so.
I thought when they built the tank out at Oldsmar's
Sports complex.
sports complex, thank you, that probably we would lose part of that, but we didn't. You know, there's a big tank out there.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Any other questions of staff? No? Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
5-0.
Sir, I did want to say, Nan did a great job of negotiating that increase on the reclaim side, and it wasn't without some pushback. And the county is obviously paying attention because they took 15 million gallons of reclaimed this month in April, which is about 3 times what they normally take. So obviously, they're anticipating the increase.
That's great.
All right, item number 10 is the approved statewide mutual aid agreement. Recommend that the council approve the amended agreement with the Florida Division of Emergency Management. The current agreement with the Florida Division of Emergency Management has been amended to allow use of statewide mutual aid capabilities on smaller incidents where no declaration of a state of emergency is required. Other than that, this agreement is quite boilerplate with what we already have. I had asked our Fire Chief Dean if he wanted to address the council and add anything to that.
Unless you have any questions, Counselor. Any questions of staff? Need a motion? Second?
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 11 is the second and final reading and public hearing on amendment to the Oldsmar Towns LLC development agreement for a 50 single-family attached townhome subdivision on properties located south of St. Petersburg Drive, east of the Oldsmar Library and north of Arlington Avenue. The motion is asking for approval to the amendment of the development agreement between Oldsmar Towns and the city of Oldsmar pursuant to section 14.7 of the Land Development Code, subject to the applicant providing additional elements to the architecture identified as colonial revival, which Mr. Tanico has done. The council approved the amendment to development agreement on first reading on May 15th, 2018, with instructions to Oldsmar Towns for changes they would like to see to the renderings before final approval on second reading. The developer has submitted the revised architectural renderings, and they are attached to this agenda packet for council review. Also, Mr. Tanico has asked to make a brief presentation. We have a little PowerPoint presentation for you. Sir?
Sure. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Hello, Tony Tanico, Oldsmar Towns LLC, 36181 East Lake Road. Thanks for having us back. I just try to keep it brief. We had a lot of discussion last time. And so I think we did everything that was asked of us, and hopefully more, and that's kind of what we wanted to show you tonight. And again, I'll be brief and leave it open for any questions you may have. So this first slide just shows the revised rendering. I think the direction that we heard was to sort of create more of a sense of place and focus on the porches and the facade of the building. So you can see there's quite a bit of change that was made. If we can go to the next slide. So that was the 6-plex, this is the 4-plex. This is in the first color option. We have 2 color options here tonight. That's the 4-plex, and if we can go one more slide. That is the rendering of the back of the building. There was some questions about what is that gonna look like? How is the garage how are the garages going to work? So that's the reason for that slide. Next, and here's the same building in a different color option. That's the 6-plex. Next, and then the 4-plex, same color option. And again, the rendering of the back of the 4-plex. And then next. And this is a street view of St. Petersburg Drive. What we tried to do is create, I guess, what we would call courtyards in front of these units to try to create that sense of place along St. Petersburg Drive. What you see here, if we can back up just 1 minute, the left side is the color option 1, the right side is color option 2. We would anticipate only doing 1 color palette, but we wanted to show you both color options, so you can have a look at that. And then next. This is and we can get into this in more detail. This is just an enumeration of the changes that were made from the last product to this product. Next. And then there was a lot of, I guess, questions about how does the site plan function. And we think this does a pretty good job of showing that. You can kind of see the muse. We've added some paver bricks to the entrance and the driveways in the rear of the townhomes will be pavered as well. So it kind of gives it an upscale. And remember, there's that knee wall courtyard in the front with the decorative wrought iron fence along St. Petersburg Drive. That's just for the units on St. Pete Drive. It's not for the others. And so I think this does a pretty good job of showing how the site functions. Next. And then that's just kind of the engineering plan with some dimensions showing the setbacks, et cetera. And next. And so there was also questions about, again, how does the garage function? What do the floor plans look like? And so we included these 2 slides, this one and the next one. This is the 4-plex. As you'll see, the garages are in the back of the first floor, which is on the top of that picture. So that's pretty typical of a townhome of this type. Normally you'll see it in the front, but generally about half the floor plan, or maybe 30-40% of the floor is the garage. Next. And then that's the 6-plex. And so that's all. With that, I'll open it up for any questions, or if you have any of me, and certainly we can go over any more of those slides in more detail if you want.
And if we have questions until we go through the public hearing, and then we'll have discussion amongst the council members. Any questions in regards to the change to the renderings and what have you?
I have just one question.
Yep, Mr. Bieberman.
You shown the pictures of the ones on St. Petersburg Drive. Does that follow through on every street going back?
Yes, sir, with the exception of the fence and the knee wall that we're showing up there.
So every building will be the same on every street going back?
Correct.
The same building that's on St. Petersburg Drive?
100% identical with the exception of the courtyard, the fence, the railing.
That's the only question I have.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember McGee?
A couple questions. What's the total height of the property, including the base floodplain elevation? Like what would be the total height of the property?
I don't have that off the top of my head. Generally, it's around 35 feet.
Okay.
We might add 2 or 3 feet for the stem walls due to the fact that we're not going to be filling.
Okay. And what are the ceiling heights on the first floor and the second floors, like within the units? Do
I believe the first floor is around 9'4", and the second floor will be 8 foot.
Sorry, a few more. The depth on the front porches, so I know you added the porches, how many feet when you walk up onto that front porch would they have in the front?
I don't have that exact dimension, but we can look closer at the floor
Looks
plan.
like
I can get you
5
that.
feet.
Is it 5 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the depth and size of the courtyards, I was trying to look at that off the site
So one
plan.
of the things we're asking for, yeah, so there's, if you recall, if we can go maybe to the site plan for a second, along St. Petersburg Drive, the city is going to retain a 5-foot easement. That's for your water main replacement that's on the agenda tonight. So we're not gonna put the knee walls in the fence in that 5-foot easement, that just doesn't make sense. So the idea is to have some landscaping in that 5-foot easement, and then we would have the knee wall on the back side of that 5-foot easement. Then from the 5-foot easement or the knee wall to the front of the porch would be 7.5 feet. So 7.5 foot front courtyard. That creates a 12.5 foot setback.
Okay. And then last question, I can't recall in the last meeting, the passive park, was it always a passive park? I thought we had talked about potentially there might be an amenity area there.
We talked about that, and that was not the pleasure of the council at that time. It was noise, it was concern about others. We settled on the passive part.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Saraki?
I have one question. The six unit, is that 2 cars? 2 cars can fit in those garage?
Every single garage is a 2-car garage.
Okay. That's the only question I have, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tony, with the changes that you made, did it have much of an impact on what you anticipate the units selling for, price-wise?
No.
Same thing?
We'll probably bump them a little bit, but honestly, it's a little early in that process to
I was just curious.
have those discussions, but I'd imagine it'd bump them a little bit. They're a little more desirable. The architecture is obviously enhanced. We're creating that additional sense of place. We're certainly putting more money into the expense side of the equation.
I don't have any other questions at this time.
Thank you. Question, the second floor, are any of those going to have any types of cathedral ceilings or in those units?
No, it's not. They'll be all just flat ceilings.
Okay. And I guess this is just a general question. I'm familiar with the builder, and they have various types of products throughout the country. I think my mom lived in a home built by them. I guess my question is, for all the players that are involved, everybody obviously is in this to try and it's got to make financial sense for everybody, you, the developer. And I guess my question would be, from the developer standpoint, to make the product work, my concern is the quality, both external and internal. I know I've been in a lot of the stuff that's been developed around here, Hayes Park and the ones up by the site, the internal components are very nice. And,
Absolutely not cutting any corners on that. In fact, we're going to be selling for higher than them. So we'll be equal to or above. Otherwise, the units aren't going to sell.
Sure, okay.
That's the reality of it.
Just sometimes,
No, I get it. It's a fair
perform of
question.
something's got,
It's a fair question, but for us, it's a no-brainer. Nothing has been, no corners have been cut to get here. We've increased the investment in the project to try to satisfy and bring a project that is approvable and fit for the downtown area.
Okay. Any other questions of Tony at this time?
I have one more question. What was the deciding factor on an 8-foot ceiling? Just seems like a pretty low ceiling for standard building these days. Was there a reason behind?
It's a standard product, I would say.
Okay.
Mayor, I have one more question. Tony, Doug's question, no cathedral ceilings. What are you going to do with that space? Is that attic?
I don't have the answer to that, council member.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know
I mean,
the
because you got
plans that
some,
well.
it's the colonial style, and there's such a high pitch there.
Right.
And it looks like some of the units, you have a window up there.
It's all fake.
Yeah, that's true.
It's all fake.
Those are for architectural enhancement.
If the ceilings are 8 foot, you're not gonna have a cathedral ceiling.
Yeah, although to that point, in all fairness, obviously I sell real estate, and you do see some where they may have the regular ceiling, but they do sometimes daylight those windows, so. Okay, any other questions of Tony? And if need be, we can bring him back up. If not, I'd like to have Marie maybe address.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I guess my first question out of the gate would be in the negotiations with Tony and the team, what you were wanting to get and what you got.
Well, I want to thank Tony for his effort in, kind of upping the architectural renderings that he submitted. I think that they look a lot better, but still, I don't think it fits where in the CRA. And I have a picture of like the library, and I compared, the renderings to the library, and it just doesn't flow. It's not unique. We're looking for a presence. This is a nice product outside the CRA in another development, but not at that location.
Any questions of staff?
I have a question, Marie. I know I talked to Al, and I guess I don't necessarily may not get the answer because I asked Tony what the height of the buildings were going to be. I was sitting out front of the library today, and I was looking at the elevation of the library building next to this property, and this property line's significantly lower than basically the front door of the library. And so my concern is if you're only doing a 2-story building, 2 to 3 feet up, is it going to be as tall as the library, shorter than the library, taller than the library?
Much shorter, probably about at least 10 feet shorter than the library. The library, the elevation at the finished floor, you have to go from the sidewalk, it's about 4 feet. And I think the library goes up to 38 feet, and then at the pitch, or those tower features, it's almost 42 where the towers are. So the library site, he has to build stem wall construction, so he can't bring fill in. So it's approximately 7 or 8 feet, so he'd have to build it, bring it up another 4 feet. Then he has, what did he say, 9 and 8, okay, so let's say 20, 22. So maybe he has 26, total height on those buildings. So you have 26 and 38 to 42, yeah.
Any questions? Let Gabby finish it first, but that's an excellent point.
So,
Question.
So the total, he estimated 35 feet plus 2 to 3, so he was
No,
estimating
what
36.
he's proposing is it's going to be about 26 feet, the 2-story. So that, based on bringing, stem wall construction, bringing it up to the design flood elevation, which would be 10 plus 1, then it looks like his 2-story is about 22 feet total. The first floor is 9.4, and the second is
That doesn't
8.
take into consideration the roof, right?
Right.
Tony's shaking your head.
Right, so that's why we're going to give him a couple more feet. At the pitch of the roof, yeah.
I would like the actual measurement of the library and the actual measurement of these buildings here. They're going to be higher, and they have to build them up somehow.
So it would have to be 3-story then. They'd have to. You're saying that you would like these townhomes to.
Well, he just wants like what I'm asking is, when I was sitting there, I was trying to visualize what is this height in comparison to the library, since the library is already about 5 feet higher than that
The library
land.
is 38 feet to 42 based on, those tower features, and it looks like this is about 26.
So you're saying that this property at its total height, no matter, depending on the pitch of the roof, will probably be about 10 feet shorter than the library?
Yes.
I find that difficult to believe. I don't want to.
Well, it's because of the construction. He has to
I know
build
what it's-
stem wall construction, whereas when the library was built, you didn't have to do that. So that's why there's such a discrepancy.
What is stem wall construction? Stem wall construction is that you put metal in the walls. Is this going to be all wood?
I don't know what the.
If I could, and just to clarify, stem wall construction, to me, they're going to bring stem wall up to build the finished floor up. Is that?
To the design
thing.
flood
It has nothing
elevation.
to do with the-
Instead
has
of
nothing
bringing
to
the
do with the
entire
walls.
property up,
Right.
it's the actual
But the stem wall
structure.
is not going to be the height of the bottom floor of the library.
No, it is not. Not that unless
We can
he's.
bring Tony back up too. My concern is when I was sitting there, I appreciate, obviously, this is not a comment section, but I appreciate the design additions. I think it looks much nicer. My concern is the height, because we did come from a 3-story to a 2-story project. I think the library has a great presence at its height, so I wouldn't necessarily, but if this is shorter than the library, it's only gonna make it look smaller. The library will dwarf
He
it. so I
probably,
just.
maybe he can, elevate it, so it's,
To that question, and if you don't, hopefully, Tony, you can be taking notes. So just to be clear, the finished floor roughly of the living space with the stem wall is going to be 4 feet probably above existing ground?
yeah, I think it's about 8 feet there, 7 or 8. So, our base flood, it's 10 plus 1, so that'll be 11. So that's where I'm getting the 4 feet.
And my question is, I guess, obviously, the garage is going to be at grade. So somehow you got to get from inside.
Well, it can be at grade, or he can.
Bring it up.
Well, can it be at grade though,
You
if
can't
it's
get taller.
connected to the house? Because I thought with
You
FEMA
have a-
regulations, it needs to be, if it's attached to the house, now the entire property needs to be
I don't think
Not
the
the,
living
not
space
the,
doesn't.
not the.
living
It's not living space, it doesn't, but you can't,
attached.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, the house at the corner of St. Pete Drive and Park, the garage is down and the rest is elevated. I mean, it's not a living space. So,
No.
It was just my understanding that if it was attached, I thought that once it's attached to the property, okay.
Well, again, I like this, so is the first floor gonna be gonna be block, and the second story is gonna be wood?
That I do not know.
I'll ask him later.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Any questions of Marie? And
Not at this
that's fine if they cross over into Tony's, he can answer them.
Not at this.
Actually, I have one more question, Marie. From a color scheme, which one did you prefer from a color scheme?
Or neither.
They were just very ordinary.
Okay,
There.
thank you, Marie.
Thanks. Any other questions of Marie? No? Tony, if you could step back up, there were a couple of questions I think that were asked. Construction, I think, was one of the ground, of the first floor.
Yeah, so since we're in a special flood hazard area, we can't fill the site.
Right.
We're required to be 1 foot above our base flood elevation. I think base flood elevation out there is 10 feet or 9 feet. So our finished floor has to be 10 or 11 feet.
Right.
I'm guessing that's exactly where the library sits. Okay, probably pretty close. And so what that means is from that elevation down on our project, there'll be a stem wall. The stem wall is basically just block around if you would, the four sides of the building to bring the building up, to get it out of that base flood elevation.
With the exception of the garage.
The garage is.
And if you bring that up, you got to bring the drive aisles in between it and.
Yeah, well, we're anticipating this stem wall construction all the way around, but the driveway, if you can imagine the drive areas in the back, they'll slope up to the garage. And that's also where the mechanical equipment will sit, your air
There's
conditioning,
no way
et
they're
cetera.
going to slope up 4 feet. You won't be able to get your.
Well, I don't know
car.
that it needs to be 4 feet.
Right.
I
So there'll be some-
don't think 4 feet's accurate.
Okay, fair enough.
And so we've looked at that, the engineers have looked at that, it's been a while, so that's kind of how that looks. So we have a 2-story product that is approximately 35 feet, plus our 2 to 3 foot stem wall we're anticipating. So we're talking 37 to 38 feet from the ground. The library is a 1-story structure. I have a hard time believing it's 38 feet tall as a 1-story structure, which if we look at ours, that includes 2 levels of living and a steep pitched roof that we all
Yeah,
just
but in all
noted
fairness,
earlier.
if you've been in a library, it's a 1-story
It's
structure,
tall.
but it's really tall. I mean,
And the front entry, I happened to pull up a picture of it. The front entry, right, and the corners
Right.
have this
The tower.
pedestal type feature.
Parapets.
And so as I'm looking at that may be, fairly equal to ours, but that's, 10, 20% of the facade of the building.
I have to think the inside of the library's roof is even taller than this room that we're in, internal. So I'm not
Yeah, no, but it's
challenging.
not 38 feet tall when you go inside.
Fair enough, but
right?
it's a very,
And so, but the point I'm trying to make is if you look at the architectural features of the library, I think they're probably broaching that 38-foot mark. But
Is
that
it
may
gonna
be only
block- is it
10 or
gonna be
20.
block construction or not?
The first floor is block, yes, sir.
Right.
did I
That
miss
was the other
anything?
question.
I
That was it.
think that was it. Any other questions since staff?
Mine are all comments, so I'm
Okay.
holding.
Just questions, and then and we'll get into our discussion. Anything, Mr. Beaverland? Questions?
Public hearing, so.
Yeah, we do, this is a public hearing, so I want to hear the public, and then we'll move into discussion. Okay? If public raises some questions, I might call you back up, so. This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the council on this item? I think that's John. I can see you back there. Come on up, John. All I saw was a hand. You're right behind Cindy, so.
I'm pretty short, too. John Buse, 150 State Street East. I think there was great improvement to the product from the last time we saw it. I think we can do much better on the St. Pete Drive elevation. I think that's always been the concern. So this is certainly upgraded from 2 weeks ago, but by no means does it really represent the stylistic or architecture we've been talking about for years. But I understand a bird in hand, so you guys have your work cut out for you. But I have a couple of questions that I like answered, as well as remind you, from my opinion, that we can do better. On the front elevation of St. Pete Drive, the back 40, as they say, is going to be residential in nature. This is much better than the last one, but we won't see 90% of this product unless you live on my street with a couple of my neighbors that are here. So with that being said, a couple questions. The hardscape on the site plan doesn't have any corrections for the parking that's missing on St. Pete Drive. I assume this is preliminary. I just want to make sure it's included, that somebody's going to put on-street parking there. The reason I mention that is, from my experience at Hayes Park Village, parking is an issue regardless of how many you provide. It's just people park everywhere. There's 11 spots on this property, plus some in the front of the closest to the library side. The other side currently has some curb cuts for the existing commercial structure that's there. So one question is, there's got to be room for 10 more there that I wanted to make sure someone's taken care of. And two, School Street comes through to Arlington, and my experience, although not code, this is an opinion, is that people will be parking out there, no matter how many you provide. So my question is, what is the landscape, hardscape requirement? Who's going to maintain that right away? Is it deeded to the HOA, or is it the city's responsibility? Right now, there's not shown any hardscape or landscape there. And since we know that's going to be, or at least in my opinion, is going to be used for parking, I just wanted to see who's going to maintain it. Currently, that area is maintained usually when I call to complain that the ditch is getting high. It's not really a priority area. And now this can be a street. I assume it would, it's got to be one of the two, either the city or the HOA. There's some room on there for some parking internally as well. And again, this isn't a code, this is my opinion, that with really only 11 spaces for 50 units, that they'll have a parking problem, as I do at Hayes, even though we've met code. It's just a practicality standpoint, is people don't use their garages as you would think. Also, there was some talk a long time ago about bollards or something out at the entrance to Arlington. And I just wondered where that ended up in the final version. At one time, it was a walking pedestrian pass-through only, then it had a bollard, then it was golf carts. It appears to be a full-on street now. I'm just curious to know where that ended up. And you might not know these answers, but I would like to get the answers. And I'll close by reiterating that I think we can do much better on St. Pete Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next. Like to address council? Yep. John?
Dale Rimbuer, 403 Arlington Avenue East. Mayor, council, how are you guys doing?
Finally not at work. You could come.
Yes, exactly. But next week, I go back to no Tuesdays. I sat on the planning board on this, and I looked, and it was a degraded product. I was very uncomfortable with it, and I spoke my mind about it. That doesn't come to you guys. I mean, that's just blah, blah, blah at the planning board. But Tony did say he was beat up by the planning board for that meeting. I heard that on the video, but that doesn't mean nothing because it didn't come to you guys.
Just for clarity, and maybe you said it and I didn't hear it, talking about the first time it came with the 3-story or the second time that it came with the previous rendering, or both?
Before you got the second reading, the first reading, just the last planning board
We
meeting.
did get a letter, though, from one of the planning board
Okay,
members.
I just wanted to clarify, because we had the initial with the previous developer and then this one.
What came back to us when he said, look, Oldsmar, this is all you're going to get.
Okay.
You know, and that's disappointing to me.
That's fine. I
And
just wanted to
when
clarify.
Councilman McGee says legacy, well, that's delightful, you know, because I feel our library is legacy for Oldsmar. I mean, if you're going to put a product in here, put a good product in here. And this is my opinion from a homeowner on Arlington. But also, we don't want School Street opened, period. We want it closed. And I argued with Mayor Roniker about this and Bruce 5 years ago, saying, do not open School Street for whatever reason when they rezoned everything. And then I went down the street and got a petition. I still have the petition. I haven't submitted it. No one wanted School Street open, but Bruce was adamant about it. Well, I don't know if Al's adamant about it, but I don't see the necessity for School Street being open to traffic. That's why I approached you guys for bollards. Well, let's put a gate up there or just not even develop it or make it a pedestrian walkway, because walkability is a key factor. But, you know, and I understand that. Golf carts maybe, but just close it off because it does not fit. This product does not fit with Arlington Avenue.
And I think, and we'll try and get an answer to that, I think one of the discussions, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that School Street with the bollards, because of a life safety issue, was fire rescue having a second way to get in.
And Dean wanted another way in, but
Right.
Kensington with $400,000 homes has one way in, one way out. Your neighborhood, one way in, one way out. What difference does it
I
make
understand.
here? You know?
But you do have, I mean, I would love to have an option in my neighborhood.
And that's why I was compromising on the bollards.
Okay.
You know,
I don't
and
wanna-
I'm okay with that, but I'd rather not see a road there.
I see.
Period. None of us would. I mean, Mr. John has the traffic lights coming right in his front window. I'm surprised he's happy with the road, but be that as it may.
He was excited. He was excited about the road. I don't know that it was happy.
Well, there's survey markers on his lot, so I'm not sure what he's up to. He might be heading out of town.
I don't want to eat up all your time, so.
You're not. One other thing. The property at, I don't know the address, but it is the west side of the School Street right-of-way. The homeowners do not have a fence behind their house. When the library was built, it was 4 feet above grade. No one got that. It's 4 feet above grade. Pickup trucks and construction were shining into my house. The city was kind enough to put a 9-foot fence up there, but they stopped at that corner lot, right? Mm-hmm. Because the library property did not affect that. So at planning board meeting, I did speak to Tony about putting the same type of fencing that's near the amenity area behind those people's house. So they would be not looking at this monstrosity, this delightful development y'all are considering behind their house. So the east side should have this, the west side should have the same fencing as the east side. Now it's their responsibility to fence along School Street. If you would do indeed develop it, that's their responsibility to fence that so they don't have traffic and people looking in their backyard. So Mr. Tanico said that was no problem, that they would consider that. But I think right here it says landscape buffer. And I think that should have the same fencing that has the amenity area fencing.
I thought the previous, not the previous to this, but the 3-story one, I thought the discussion was, and was it 6 or 8 feet? Does anybody recall? I thought we.
It was 6.
6?
And it was that design.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the fence behind the library is 9 feet. If you go to grade 4 feet up with this stem wall construction you're talking about, you're going to be at the same grade as the library.
Yep, understood.
So maybe they should have the same 9-foot fence, but that's y'all's call.
I'm not even, we'll have to get an answer if that's even included in this.
So this is not a Snyder hearing, but I'm an opponent to this product, even though I've seen a little growth in it. It just, density for density's sake. I know you're all like density because you say that's how we're going to grow.
Whoa, don't point my finger.
Not you, but the rest of us. Excuse me. Mr. Beaver. I know how you feel. You feel like I feel. Density for density's sake, oh gosh, that's just great, but why are we going to put a bad product in for density's sake? To encourage development where we want our development. Let's put in something like, hey, $500,000, $750,000, 250,000, 300,000 homes in there, not a glorified apartment complex.
Thank you.
I hope y'all, I come here and I hope y'all listen to me. I hope.
We listen to everybody. That's why we're here. Yeah. Next. Oh, look who.
Mayor, City Council, Francisco, same 6220 Mornay Drive, Tampa 33615. In the past 12 years, the vision for downtown Oldsmar has been very clear. All the City Council members, the code, the CRA, everything that has been put a lot of effort into is to create downtown, Main Street. It's not only just State Street, it's St. Petersburg Drive also, all the way from Washington to State Street to 580. That's going to be the heart.
Did he put his name in?
Yes, he did.
Did he? I just want to make sure you do.
That will be the future for Oldsmar. All the dynamic of a walkable space that you will combine every nice combination of single urban space that people will love to be here with all the parks and the amenities in that L-shaped spine that Oldsmar have. It has to be respected to the most highly, I guess, level. And to obtain this type of atmosphere and culture through downtown Oldsmar, you have to have commerce, you have to have activities to it. You have to give to St. Pete and State Streets the benefit of 8 to 6, 10 to 6 movement, people, footprints going all over, walkable space from this site to the library, to Marriott, to the stores, to the restaurants. All that will be created. So my only comment in this endeavor right now is that we should bring to St. Petersburg Drive a mixed use of activity, a combination. We should give it the opportunity to St. Petersburg Drive to have some commerce. You guys are spending a lot of money. You already have spent and putting parking on the street. Get the best benefit from it. I think a good, consistent building with the amenities that are required to be in front of St. Petersburg Drive will bring really what Oldsmar needs and will benefit all the communities going to start filling the spots to create a consistent L shape of activity in Oldsmar and create the heart that you guys always been looking to get. And I think the time is right to do it. So just a reminder of what is there in place, all the effort that has been put to have an architectural pattern and the activities that people want to have in Oldsmar and attract the right type of neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the council? Yeah.
Andrew Knapp, 314 Vista Cruiser Lane. It's a part of Hayes Park Village, so I just want to echo John's comments. We're currently at 39 out of 52 units. There's 54 spots in our neighborhood, and we're already experiencing parking problems. People don't use their garages. Some people don't have cars, but it's just the nature of the beast that there's going to be people that only put one car in a two-car garage or no cars. And so 11 spots plus maybe another 10 out front, it's definitely going to, a couple years down the road, whenever that starts to build out and finish, I think it's going to be an issue. So it's something that we deal with on the board right now, and we're not even finished filling out yet. So just want to leave that as a comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I had some more questions of Marie.
Yeah. I just want to close out, and then we'll move into discussion items, and I think we have a couple of questions. I know I've written down some that we would like. Do I need to do that as part of before I close the public hearing?
You close the public hearing and then move.
But if we're going to ask questions of staff, do I need to keep the public hearing open or no?
No, because they're not public.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. I think as part of the discussion, we have some questions from Council Marie. I think this would be you. You probably wrote down some of the same things. I'll start with Councilmember McGee.
I just wanted to see if you could provide some answers to John's questions about the landscaping on School Street and also about the on-street additional parking to continue the spaces by the library, if that was ever a conversation, or what would be the plan for additional.
They have the opportunity to provide that, so that they could get credit. You have a 10% reduction in the required parking if you have on street, so it's possible you could do that.
Whoa. You can't give them credit for on-street parking, because
Well-
that parking belongs to the library.
I'm not talking about the existing, I'm
Talking about the new.
continuing
Where else
it.
is there? Where else is there a place for parking
Moving-
on street?
There is additional parking that could be provided even along the Beamworks,
Of where?
you know, where the Beamworks property is.
That's the on-street right there.
I know
but
that.
There's none right here. So John was saying you could potentially put 10 more right there. But
I got a question, if I can, Gabby, if that's okay. Does this development does not affect the existing on-street parking?
No, it does not.
All right.
He meets code with, you know, the 2 per unit, you know, and it's the garage. I think he provides 11 for guests. But, you know, the dynamics of whoever's living in the development, we don't know whether they're gonna park in the garage, as John explained with Hayes Park, or park, you know, in one of the 11 spaces, you know, the general parking on site.
Okay.
one more question.
Yep.
In the last work session, what did we agree on from the driveway minimums for future development for houses? Do you remember off the top of your head? It was a certain like minimum number of feet to avoid kind of the issue we had on St. Pete Drive and Park.
That came up because of Park Boulevard.
I asked that because I see it appears that the driveways in here are 20 feet, and that seems like less than.
Code
what
requires
we-
24, but, you know, they're private, but I don't remember, I don't have my notes with
There's
me.
not a sidewalk going through there.
But to my point is it a deep enough driveway? I mean, if you have 2 garages backing onto each other with 2 driveways that maybe are short, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking,
I don't
even as
think
a
they're-
resident, would that cause a problem when you're trying to get in and out and parking and, or, you know?
I think you have to be in the garage or
Right.
somewhere else. I think,
driveways
correct me if
aren't
I'm
gonna be
wrong,
deep
but,
enough
and I
to-
don't want to open it up, but I think Hayes Park has some of those where they back to back against each other, that if you're not in the garage, you
Can't
cannot,
get-
you can't
right.
park behind it. We'd have that at Gramercy, and Dunedin has the same thing, so, yeah.
Well, there's another question that, what did you say when you was up here the first time? You didn't like this development? It wasn't what you thought should go into the,
It's not exceptional, it's just more common.
did you not say this did not set in our zone? In the downtown?
Yes, you're right.
It's not really appropriate for adjacent to the library. It's a nice development, but not in the CRA.
Say it again.
Well, I mean, I think that's that's
it's
an
a
opinion, and I think that's.
And it's an opinion.
That's for us to make the decision tonight, regardless
All
of
due
what.
respect.
She's a big part of this.
She's given you her opinion.
She's given her testimony.
I know it.
Or
I
not
want to be very plain.
I think she's said it several times. That
Well, I
it's-
want to hear it again.
Any other questions, Gabby?
No, thank you.
Questions? Otherwise, I want to go turn the
I have a
discussion
question.
between us.
Oh, I have a question, Mayor. John Buse mentioned the HOA maintenance on School Street. Did I miss that? Who's gonna take care of that?
That has not even been discussed. That's
I think
gonna,
John was referring to the existing maintenance of it because we own it in that.
Right.
Well, the
ordinance.
question also, I think he was asking, which is a good one, what's the intent post, assume this was built, put in there,
Yeah.
now we have a street there.
Is there
Is
gonna
the
be-
intent still for the city to maintain it? Or is it the intent? So
You know,
that's an
these are
unanswered question.
renderings, and it's like kind of a concept, site plan, so we really haven't drilled down to the particulars as far as, who's responsible.
And there's no change in the decision that we had made at one
Ballards.
time about the ballards.
I don't know, that was my question.
There's no,
Shouldn't be.
There's what?
Shouldn't be.
there's no change.
Yeah, we already made that
Right now,
decision.
they're in.
Yeah.
Mayor, I have one more question.
Uh-huh.
School Street, from what I understand, will turn into a parking lot. Do you feel that is true?
I don't,
Not if we put no parking signs there. There won't.
yeah, it's, right now in the development agreement, School Street's supposed to go through, and there's the bollards, for access. There's been a lot of discussion.
If you have the bollards towards Arlington, how are the vehicles gonna come onto the street to park?
There, you can remove the bollards.
School Street,
Well, that's,
Well, they would be the retractable for safety.
School Street belongs to the city of Oldsmar, and School Street will be maintained by the city of Oldsmar unless we put it in the development agreement that it's theirs and they take care of it until everybody dies.
Well, I
I
guess,
wasn't sure if they had already had some discussion about it.
No,
Marie, you may not know the answer to this, but it's my understanding the ballards would go on the property line closest to the,
Yes.
yeah, so it wouldn't, yeah, I mean, obviously someone could pull in on the other side if they were really that lazy and park their car there, but we could prevent that with no parking, et cetera, but.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that the bollards would be closer to the development. And then, yeah.
Last question? Okay, thank you for answering that on the School Street. Next question is, since, as you see the site plan, there's not much parking there, as Davis Buse and Andrew just mentioned, in Hayes Park Villages. Do you feel that the people will be parking in the library to take up parking spaces? And will that cause an issue?
That might be an option for them. I mean, that's public parking, so,
I would think the people towards the back might do that.
Yeah, overnight.
they'll
but I mean, I can't,
You can't, it's a public.
Yeah.
So it's okay if they
but
park?
he does have enough parking based on the site plan. He does meet code, but, whether there's an opportunity for somebody to park in the library site in the event there's a party or something like that, I don't know. They could do that.
Thank you,
We're
Maria.
not making,
Go ahead.
we're not making any exceptions to parking as it relates to our code.
No,
Okay.
correct.
So it meets code.
It meets code.
Okay.
And I think what we're hearing today is, just because it meets code doesn't mean it functions properly for as we're hearing. And case in point is Bay Arbor Place met code at the time. It's been changed since then, but Bay Arbor Place met code when they first applied for it.
Are we debating now?
No, I'm just
asking.
No, that's
Mayor,
fine.
Mayor,
Yeah,
you know what happened with Buffalo Wings, and it met code.
yeah. I know, I understand, but but you can't deny it for that because they meet the code, so.
Mayor, one more question.
One more?
I just saw my notes. Will a car in the two-car garages, each unit has two-car garage, will they be able to park two cars in the driveway?
No.
No, it doesn't look like it. I mean, I need the developer to
That's the
confirm
same
that.
as, it's the same as Hayes Park.
I would ask, because
Yeah, because it looks, I can't really tell on the site plan, it looks kind of short. That's why.
He's got enough room for the cars to park in the garage,
All right.
but.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions, then we'll discuss, question or no? And then we'll have dialogue up
Is
here.
this a question time, or is this the time just to say what you want to say
Well,
and
if
then
you-
shut
if you
up
don't-
for the
if
rest
you-
of the time?
Oh, okay, let me answer that. If you don't have any more questions of staff.
I
then-
don't have any questions.
Okay, then it's now dialogue between us.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
before we go to dialogue, can we ask the parking question of the developer? Have Tony come back up and answer that?
All right, that's fine. What's the question?
The question was how much space is in the driveways outside of the garages?
I think we've answered it, but Tony, yeah. if you
Maria
can-
answered it. I don't think she knew 100% for sure.
Can you confirm or?
I don't have the exact dimension, but Marie did answer it correctly. There's not enough for a car in that driveway.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
One last question, Tony, so I apologize. What was the intention, if you know, about the on-street parking, like for the reduction by providing on-street parking? Was there any intention of providing additional on-street parking next to the library spots?
No.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think this is, kind of typical of Gramercy Park's a good example. We talked about the alley width behind it. That's kind of typical for an urban infill development. It's kind of almost counter to big open areas, lots of parking, et cetera, et cetera. So it's designed as more of an urban infill site in that regard.
Yep.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. If there's no other questions of Tony, we'll go ahead and dialogue. I'll start with you, Mr. Beaverland, if you,
I appreciate that.
and we can go back and forth, that's fine.
Well, I hope whatever I have to say that maybe you'll correct me later and tell me not to say anything more, because what I've got to say, I'll say it, and I won't debate anybody. I'll just say what I got to say, and then it's over with. I voted against the first because I didn't think it belonged there. I voted against the second one here because I didn't like what you were building. I think somebody said something that we have prepared the land. It was Francisco. We bought that land, and you were here at the time. We bought all this land for a reason, and we bought it for commerce and to build the downtown area, not to build high rises and low rises and whatever else. We spent a lot of money for all of that land, all the way down to State Street. And we and you know at the time, because you had discussions with everybody, when we bought the land next door here, we planned for the downtown part, not for high rises and not for whatever else. We spent a lot of money, and I spent a lot of effort to get the library built where it was. In fact, the vote, if I remember, it was 3-2 to build the library there and not somewhere else. And we built an incredible library. And we're going to downgrade it? It doesn't make any sense to me. You enhance it. Okay, maybe the first rendering could have enhanced it, I'm not sure, but I voted against that because I don't think it's set there well with the library. And I voted against this other thing because it downgraded the library. If we're going to put something there that builds up what we've already done. We spent a lot of money for that library. Okay. I know I've been on the short end of the vote on all of this. I don't believe in filling land for taxes. I believe in preserving land to build something better there that you'll get more taxes. I'll give you one example. And Bruce told me a long time ago, and I've always told Bruce a long time ago, I will never violate what I think this city should be. And Bruce violated that one time on what he thought the city should be, and he told me, I'm so sorry. This particular area that I'm talking about could have $600,000 homes there now, but you'll never get $600,000 home there now because the vision was violated, and it's sad. Anyway, it's I don't believe in filling land to bring taxes in, Dan. I don't believe in that. You preserve the land for something that you will bring. The piece of land I'm talking about, we could have $500,000 homes there now, but we don't, which would bring in a lot more money in taxes. So please, when you're considering a building or whatever it is, don't look at the tax part of it. Look at what can be built there later that would bring in more taxes. And Mayor, I think I probably said I should. I know how I feel. I'm against all of this. I don't think it enhances the library. I don't think it enhances the city of Oldsmar. And Any of y'all down there, correct me if I say anything else. When I say I'm not going to say anything else, I've said my piece, and I'm through.
I'll get you to say something, I just have a few. You'll correct me on something, I'm sure.
Councilmember McGee?
First, I want to say, Tony, I greatly appreciate the changes that were made. I like the addition of the porches. I like the metal roofs, the arches on the porches, the courtyards in the front, the siding changes, et cetera. I think you made a great deal of changes to improve the project. My largest concern is that it's a two-story, the height, as I mentioned before. Unfortunately, if it's not taller than the library, I don't feel like it creates a presence there. I think it will only look smaller in comparison to the library because it's at such a grand scale. And I don't really feel like I got the answers tonight on a confirmation of the exact height of the building. And maybe nobody knows that yet, but I can't vote on something if it turns out it's gonna be 10 feet shorter than the library. I just can't. Or 4 feet, or if it's shorter than the library in general, I don't see that it's a good fit there. I'm okay. I disagree slightly with Jerry in the fact of putting residential there, and I think it's because I've seen the vision for across the street with Waverly Place and the mixed use, and so I can see residential supporting that as well as the library. However, and maybe this is kind of funny timing, but on the way back from John Maroney's funeral, I drove through the long way down Clearwater Beach and through Dunedin, ironically, and I noticed the new apartment complex that went up across from the Dunedin brewery.
In Douglas.
And it's beautiful. It's 2 to 3 stories apartments on top of public space. So there's going to be a portion of it designated for public use. There will be like a Nature's Patch grocery store, a little grocery within there. I think some artist studios. Granted, Douglas is certainly much more built up than St. Pete Drive. However, it is consistent with the same sort of design as what we have here. I mean, Douglas is a side road that at once really was nothing, connected to Main Street, just like St. Pete Drive. And then someone had the foresight to put a brewery, and then another brewery took advantage of that. And now this beautiful apartment complex, not only is design beautiful, it has a presence. I mean, you drive by and immediately noticed it. And it has the amenities to attract business professionals, millennials, et cetera. I mean, I was looking at the website earlier, and just to share a little bit of what, some other communities are getting, has bicycle parking to encourage alternative transportation, has a Nature's Patch organic market cafe on site, good golf cart parking with charging receptacles, a outdoor plaza deck with a pool and cabanas, appointed fitness studio, entertainment lounge with billiards, professionally designed landscaping, Wi-Fi and common areas, 100% smoke-free community. That is a community project I could definitely get behind. And a community recycling program. So I share that just to give some different viewpoints of what other sister cities are having built within their cities. And certainly if we were to build a beautiful project with great amenities and even green amenities such as that, we may get a brewery across the street in the future, like a Dunedin brewery that's done so well for the city and brought in so many different visitors and residents and, whatever it may be. But after seeing that especially, I felt disappointed, in the project a little bit, even though it's improved. It didn't have the presence like that particular building had. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Strachey?
Thank you, Mayor. As Gabby said, Tony, I want to thank you very much for all your hard work and what you've done to make the improvements from 2 weeks ago. I just wanted to say thank you very much for all that. A couple things that, when I bought my home 20 years ago in East Lake Oaks, one of the things that U.S. Homes did was they allowed me to customize my home with cathedral ceilings, which something that might look nice in this particular units that you're building. They let me customize it so I could design it for my lifestyle. And that was one of the things I really, really enjoyed about East Lake Oaks when that was built. Other than that, really don't have any other comments. I want to save my vote, but I want to thank you again for all your hard work and what you've done for the city and working with Marie and everything. Thank you, Tony. Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, it's funny, I'm reminded by this probably more than anything else that we've worked on in a while, how beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Because I thought the original 3-story was nice. I liked the flair it had to it. But I'm on the complete opposite of y'all in the sense that I didn't like us putting a 3-story structure that I know is also going to be lifted to meet the requirements to build, butting up to neighbors' houses. I don't like that. So when the plans changed and it came in as a 2-story, I liked it more because it's the one thing that I think somewhat, you know, we have a natural buffer there. I've never been a fan of School Street. I don't know why it's there. I think it's a mistake. I would take it out in a heartbeat, you know. But, you know, we've been down that path. I'm not going there. But my point then and now is there is a certain amount of buffer that you can create to make it fair as we're going through this transition, whatever this transition ends up being, to the neighbors who are come right up to it. That's why I really liked when it went from 3 stories down to 2 stories, because I thought, okay, there's a buffer there, there's gonna be a fence first, there's a buffer there, then there's a drive, and now it's 2-story. And I thought, okay, you know what? That'll work, because it may not impact a lot of people, but it impacts people who've been there for a while. That being said, my expectations are not that this development or any other development there is going to be, that it needs to be equivalent in size to that flagship library. I don't think it should be, as a matter of fact. I think that library was built to last, right? And when I say that, I mean, I think it should always stand out and not be diminished by something else, some monstrosity next to it. And so I just view that differently. You know, I don't view that as really a problem. I view it as a plus. And, you know, the whole, you know, beauty in the eye of the beholder, I saw this and I really like it. And I've showed it to a couple other people, and a couple people said to me, I don't know, I like the other one, the other 2-story. And I'm like, you're kidding. Like, what the heck's going on here? But so I look at it from a different standpoint when I'm viewing that, because I'm not an expert in it. I'm not an expert in architecture. I know what I know and I know what I don't know for the most part, right? So I look at it different when I look at it. I go, how does this match up with the Galleria? And I go, well, you know what? I went over there and looked. And the Galleria has these same style dormers. I like this color option 2 better only because I think it matches a little bit there. I don't think everything has to be the same color. That would remind me of a, you know, shopping center or something. It's got the columns. It's got the walkable porch in the front. It does match up. You know, so I look at it from that standpoint, not trying to be an expert other than going, will it look right there? Does it match up? Should it match the library? I don't believe it should. That library should be a flagship that stands on itself. I think if we ever put something there that outshines it, it would be a mistake, right? I strongly believe that. I don't think that's the right approach. And then, you know, because the drawings that we got earlier didn't include the more detailed streetscaping. And so when he showed that tonight, frankly, I liked it even better because it does give it character. It gives it this, I see that as having a vibe. Even when you come around the corner on State Street with some of the beautiful stuff that John has built over here, I don't think there's huge differences between the two. There might be some technical or architectural, you know, but I'm looking for what matches up and it doesn't have to. Look, we have a pattern book that we agreed on long ago. So we didn't say it all has to look specifically this way. And so for my approach, I'm not trying to pretend to be an expert on on the detail other than does it fit. I would argue that it does fit. I would also argue that it accomplishes not burdening the neighbors in the very back, because it's not peering in their window. I mean, I feel horrible about one of the deals we did, and I'm not going to get into it. We all talk about it because the floodplain things change stuff now, and we're going to have to be cognizant of that. But in that particular area, yeah, I think I do think multi-use would be nice. I don't think it's going to happen over there. It's just my opinion. I think that this street, State Street, is the hub. And I was on council with Councilmember Beaverland back when we went through this very deep project on this before. This is the showcase. This, right out here. This is really the showcase. And it's not to say that that can't add to the showcase, but I think that I don't know, maybe I view this as going to be the showcase over here, and I think that looks gorgeous, frankly. I'm really impressed. I thought this was as dead as could be when I saw this other one, and you got a couple more weeks, but when you put that courtyard up, it gives it some character, and I think it goes from the showcase kind of down around where it's still different. It's not the showcase over there per se, but it's still beautiful. It adds to the flow, for lack of a better word. And, I've spent some time today in the last couple days looking at what other comparisons there are here in Oldsmar from a townhouse standpoint. And if you look at this, and I wish we had that other one up, but if you look at that from the St. Pete Drive view that he put up, and you think about what else we have here in Oldsmar, that townhomes. Granted, we want this to be better. I think it's better than what we have out there. And that's not putting anyone's structure down, but if you go look at some of the townhouses, even the new stuff that's being built over at Bay Terrace, I think that's nice, but the draw over there is the water, right? I mean, it's basically a garage with a couple windows above it. I mean, that's all it's not that stylish like this is. And I believe this is. I think that, I don't think it's much different. I really like Hayes Park and the look of it out there, right? This has some of the same features of that when you look at it. Slanted roof, going over the porch, the little kind of detail stuff. And so I say, because I'm not an expert in it, I just go and look and see what kind of works and matches. If this doesn't work, well, I don't know what does. I mean, what else do you do to make it fit in there? Multi-use, yeah, that'd be awesome, but I think we're gonna probably get as much multi-use over here as we can bear. And I like the color option too, because I think it gets closer to it. I think it does fit. I think our codes will take care of the quality issues that we have concerns about, that the mayor raised. Like I said, the height to me is a good thing, not a bad thing, for the reason I mentioned. Anyhow, those are my 2 cents. Probably on a nickel's worth. What did I tell you?
I know it, but see, but you brought some things up. You want to be mayor someday. You want to be mayor. And I think you should be mayor. You have to look at this as a mayor different than what you think or what you like. You have to look at it in a big picture, what the city should look like. And that's what happened to Bruce with this project I was telling you about. He wanted the tax dollars. Now he's sorry now.
But I'm not looking at it from the tax dollars, Jerry.
I know you're not,
Okay.
but as mayor, you can't look at this one project. As mayor, you have to look at the whole city. I'm going to tell you something. State Street here is part of the dream.
I agree.
St. Petersburg Drive. State Street, this was our dream, is that State Street in this part of St. Petersburg Drive was the whole hub. You just can't say State Street that's what we want. It's not. State Street in this
That's what I said. I didn't say that's all we want.
No, I didn't say you did.
Okay.
But I'm saying that's what we wanted. I fought like hell to get that library down there, and everybody in City Hall was pissed off at me because I got the 2 votes I needed to get the City Hall. Why the library down there? Why did I want the library down there? Because we needed to build this part of St. Petersburg Drive and not round the corner where it goes down to where I live. You don't want that, and I agree with that. But from Buckingham all the way down to State Street, this is our showcase. In the library, to what I thought, the library, that's the anchor.
I agree. I agree with that on that side of the road. Where we will disagree, right, is I think it looks gorgeous. I think
he's going to build things down
character.
there on the other side of the road, which is going to enhance the whole thing. Anyway, I apologize. I said I wouldn't say anything, but keep this in your mind.
But I am thinking, listen.
Okay, you want to be mayor, you're going to be mayor. You can't look at one thing and say, well, now I think it flows right. No. It has to flow from 580 to State Street down to St. Petersburg Drive, all the way down. That's what you have to look at. I apologize. I'll shut up.
Okay, and I mean, that's
you.
why we're unique. We're a unique thing. I haven't even said a word yet.
I know.
So.
Hey, it is
No, let
discussion,
me just
so
say
it
one
is
thing,
discussion.
Jerry. I appreciate your comments, and they influence my opinion, almost always. And maybe I didn't articulate well, but that vision, I get. And I think what I see, I think that adds to the vision there. I don't think it diminishes from that vision. It's unique. I think it looks really good. And I think it will add to the success of, and this isn't density for the purpose of density. It is density that I think looks good, fits into a small square that goes real deep. So in any event, and I think that way for many reasons.
Well, that makes
But
that's
vision, I do get the vision. I was there, when this all blew up and we couldn't agree on a thing, and then the market went south.
Well, we did agree on something.
Yeah, we agreed on some stuff, but we'll have that discussion another time.
And that's what makes us all unique. We have different mindsets. And if you don't want to agree with the right one, that's fine.
He hasn't even heard from the right one yet. Are you two done? Mine's going to be fairly short. I think a lot of great dialogue on both sides. I think your height comment about the concern of the neighbors is an excellent comment. I think Gabby's comment about the height of the library, and I agree. I don't think you want to take away from the beauty of the library. I know this is kind of weird, but if I was going to build something next to the White House, you wouldn't want it to overpower the White House, and so that's extreme, but it is what it is. And I think that we're all entitled. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You pick somebody that likes the Seminoles, and you look past that, right? I know, but and our visions are different. Jerry's got a lot of history here, but I think what's unique is that we all bring our own vision, and I think I can say this whether we agree or not. I think our own vision has the best interest of the city at heart, whether it's different than Jerry's vision or different than everybody else's vision. But in saying that, and hearing what Councilmember Beaverland said about the entirety, and Eric mentioned that as well. I look back at the contract we had with USF and the students of USF and how, what they envisioned was integrating the entire city and trying to connect everything, and it really did kind of flow. Which one's going to happen first? I don't know, whether it's, the property here or St. Pete Drive. I think it all works together, and I think it all ties into the city, whether it's, pedestrian, traffic, bikes, whatever it is, it all needs to work together. Having said that, this is the first development potentially to come before us that sets the mark on that property and that vision. And I appreciate Tony and his developer, and I know, there's, the numbers got to work. I get that, but to the point about State Street and St. Pete Drive, and this is our downtown, I never would have envisioned the development that they did in Dunedin being on Douglas, especially that little segment of Douglas, but my office is 200 yards from there in Dunedin, and it looks like it's going to work, but it's on a side street, to be honest with you. It connects Skinner to Main, but it's really just a little 2-lane side street, very tight. But I think it's going to be a catalyst, because at the corner of Douglas and Main Street is going to be another development, mixed-use development in there. So you don't really know what spawns the next development. And I made this point at the last one, and it was quoted in the thing, is that, and no offense to the developer, I don't think this is the catalyst for starting these developments, whether it's St. Pete Drive or State Street or whatever it is. I don't envision this being the benchmark that we set for that. And I hate to say it, and to me, and I said it in the thing, it just looks like any town, and I know they've added some features to it. It just looks like any townhome USA to me, and that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. I don't think it doesn't have a wow factor to me. And that's not even getting into all the discussion about the heights and things, just the look itself. It doesn't have a wow factor to me. And that's why we're 5 people on this council, is, we're entitled to our own opinion. I do have some questions about School Street and, what that is. Is it a pedestrian thing? I don't know that it would hurt to be a pedestrian connection to that, just for the walkable factor, not necessarily traffic. I think the parking, I did the math, the alleyway is 40 feet, the drive aisle is 20 feet, which leaves you 20 feet divided by 2 homes, means they have a 10-foot apron basically behind there, which is very similar to Gramercy. I think probably very similar to Hayes Park. And I don't know what the HOA requirements would be, or the association documents that would have to, because it's not our property, that would have to restrict people parking behind there, whether they pull in and park wide ways behind their lot or what they do. So we've already heard the comments about Hayes Park and the parking over there. So at any rate, that's really all I have. I just don't envision this as the catalyst for what we envision in this downtown CRA area. I think Marie made a good point that in another area of the city, this might work well. I think the ones, I can't always forget the names, I think the ones up there by the rec center, I think those look very nice architecturally up there. I just don't think this is what we envision our CRA starting off with. And I don't want to do it. And to your point about taxes, that's the least of my concerns. I want something that works and that we're proud of, and whether I'm mayor or you're mayor or he's mayor, we want to be proud of what we've done collectively as a body for this city and for the residents that are already here. So having said that, that's all the comments I have, So I don't know if anybody else has anything to add other than rehashing what we've already talked about.
Call the roll.
Call the roll.
We have a motion.
Oh, did we have a motion? No, we didn't. For motion?
So moved.
Second.
What is the motion?
The motion is to approve, is to approve the, what is it called, the
Just
development?
say approve with option 2.
The motion is what's in your package.
Motion is to approve the development agreement.
To approve the amendment to the development agreement between Oldsmar Towns LLC and the City of Oldsmar pursuant to Section 14.7 of the Land Development Code, subject to the applicant providing additional elements to the architecture identified as colonial revival as attached.
Motion is, well, for the purposes of calling a roll call, we need a motion and a second, or does
Motion
it?
to is approve as it stands.
Or, yeah, if we don't have a motion and a second, it dies as it
I
sits.
second.
Okay, motion and a second. Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
No.
Councilmember McKee?
No.
Councilmember Beaverland?
Absolutely not.
Mayor Beavis?
No.
Amendment to Oldsmar Towns LLC Development Agreement for a 50 single-family attached townhome subdivision fails with 1 vote for and 0 against. Saraki, McKee, Beaverland, and Beavis dissenting.
And we'll all walk away as friends.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the
I don't
day,
know about you two, but
Tony left pretty quick. I hope he's not mad at me.
he's got a lot of time into this.
man.
He's got a lot of time, and, you know, it's all part of our job up here.
I think that was the toughest decision I ever had to make, being on council.
Yep, ready to move.
Item 12, request award 2018-004 ITB, the Downtown Water Main Replacement Project. These planned improvements will replace aging galvanized and asbestos water distribution piping, as well as extend the reclaimed water service to portions of the downtown neighborhood that does not currently have service. This work will improve water quality, pressure, and fire flow. The reclaimed water service extension will help to offset potable water demands. 2 bids were received on May 15th, 2018, with Keystone Excavators submitting the low bid of $2,827,792. The construction bid, including contingency items for asbestos pipe replacement along Buckingham. The project funds will be drawn from the Water and Sewer Fund, General Ledger Account Fund 401-143-533-606336. Staff recommends approval. Thank you, sir.
you need a motion?
Motion for discussion.
So moved.
Second.
A second. I should have asked this earlier. How does this bid compare to the previous one that we had?
Slightly higher,
Slightly by,
100,000, 200,000 total.
Numbers in front of me.
I think the original one was somewhere in the 2.5 range, and with everything all in, that was without contingency. With the contingency we just presented to you, the assumption that we would be doing the whole thing. It's anticipated. We expected it to be a lot higher, to be honest with you.
I should have asked that earlier. I didn't think about that. So.
Mayor,
Any other questions or discussions? No, we're not starting on your street first.
I don't make motions and I don't second motions. You all know I let you all do all that. I would have made the motion on this one because I'm tired. My pipe in front of my house is 60 years old, and I've been here for 52 years. I have a collection of pipes that has broken.
I'd tell you to push back it a few more months just to drive me crazy, but it affects my house too.
Yeah, it will. And I am real happy about this one. I am extremely happy. And if you allow me just a few minutes to tell you why I'm happy. In 1988, I sat in a council meeting downstairs here when we had almost 7.5 miles of dirt streets in this town. 7.5 miles of dirt streets. The only paved streets we had was Park Boulevard, Washington, and Bayview. Everything else, I sat on Shore Drive West on a corner on dirt streets. We could never open our windows because of the dust. Now, one of the council members got up and said, we need to pave the streets in this town. And our engineer got up and said, well, it would cost $16.5 million to pave the streets, the 7.5 miles of streets in this town. And I'm sitting in the audience and I'm saying, well, who's going to question that? Nobody questioned it. I said, Jesus, we could have went out back in 1990, we could have repaved Interstate 4 for that kind of money. So I said, okay. So when I decided to run for council in 1990, remember I'd been on here at 1970, and my wife says, you need to campaign on that. Pave the streets. And I said, sweetheart, every politician for the last 60 years has promised to pave the streets. I'm not going to do it. So when I got on council, I decided to find out how much it would cost to pave the streets in this town. Now, how am I going to do that? As you just said, I'm not an expert on streets. So what did I do? I knew a guy in town, and I said, you know any pavers? He says, yeah, Keystone. And there are businesses here in town. So I went over to Keystone, and I said, look, I'm on the city council, and I don't know anything about paving streets. And I like to get the streets in town paved, if it's possible. He said, well, why don't, I rode with two of the principals. We went all the way around town, and I said, our engineers said it'd cost almost $17 million to do this. You know what Keystone told me? He said, I'll tell you what, we'll pave them for $1.5 million. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. He said, no, we'll pave, see, because we had shell streets. The shell was that damn deep. The shell out here on Tampa Road's not that deep. It's only that deep. So I put together the program to pave the streets in the town. I know the mayor's having a fit right now because I'm another history story. I apologize, Mayor. To pave the streets in the town for $1.5 million. And guess what? That was on the 1 cent sale tax, which cost the average citizen in Oldsmar 26 cents a year. Now, I won't tell you the rest of the story. I ran into a damn brick wall with the city manager and but I'll tell you what, I won. And then the city manager said, do you mind if we put another $1 million on that? He said, we want to do the Burbank drainage project. I said, put another $1 million on it. That's $2.5 million. He says, you'll never get it passed to the council. When it came to the council night, my biggest supporter went negative on me. And I got furious. And I hit the microphone. And I said, I want every damn one of you to vote against me. Vote against the paving the streets in this town. It was 5-0 to pave the streets in this town. Okay. Keystone could have said, well, we'll pave it for $4 million. They said, no, $1.5 million. And we paved 7.5 miles. And that included double lane in Lafayette Boulevard. I am so happy that Keystone got this. You can't imagine it. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I think it's great. In the interest of time, I won't ask you for the history of the wastewater treatment plant. So.
Hey, Jerry, how'd that happen?
No, don't go there.
All right, okay.
He sits there and squirms every time I do it.
Well, because we've heard it 7 times since I've been mayor.
You haven't heard Keystone 7 times.
Well, I've heard the paving of the street 7 times. All right, so where are we?
We need a vote.
Motion, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. It passes. Do you vote yes, Gary? Jerry?
Yes.
Forgot your damn name.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 13 is approve the co-sponsored special event application fee waiver request for the Professional Disc Golf Association, or PDGA, Disc Golf Tournament. Requesting council approval for the attached co-sponsored special event application. The item requires the waiver of fees in the amount of $700. The Florida Disc Golf Association has applied for nonprofit status, and we recommend approval, but I'd like Assistant City Manager Felicia Donnelly to address the council if she feels the need. Apparently, I surprised her.
Alicia, are you playing Saturday? Are you gonna be in it?
No.
Can you explain the certification part, please?
This is one of the reasons that Oldsmar built this course, was so that it would obtain the gold level rating. We would be the only one in Tampa Bay to have this level of a course rated at this time. So, we've been working on this for a year and a half or so. So this is the launch of the gold sanctioning event. So we had the ribbon cutting last June for the course in general, and the course has been tweaked and played, and so now it's ready to be launched. And so that's the first sanctioned event that we're going to host, and it's this weekend. And so the Florida Disc Golf Association, you all have met Trevor, and so that's Trevor runs that nonprofit. And so they're going to be the official host of the tournament through PDGA.
Awesome. How many players do we expect?
50, 60 total. So first day, I think Saturday is the pros, and then Sunday is the amateur part.
Awesome.
Be exciting.
I was going to ask a question about camera. I understand the buzz is pretty good about this course in the industry, I guess.
It is really good. It's a long course. It's unique because we have been able to weave it through natural areas. So it has the canopies.
water.
It's on the water. It's beautiful. So
Mayor knows it's on the water.
Yes, I do. I know it's got a creek running right through that hole number 7.
trail goes behind it, all sorts of reasons.
I did hear someone make a comment about parking for the event. Do we have any plans to assist with parking for that many people back there?
We will have staffing out there, so we anticipate that actually we won't be taking up much more space than where the cars park now, and then lower impact to the neighborhood. But there shouldn't really be more people there than was there for the grand opening.
Okay.
Or any other kind of picnic event. If it was hundreds we were expecting, but a total of 50 or 60, it should have a minimal parking impact.
Got 20 or 30 acres out there, you got plenty of parking.
I've been riding my bike through the park, and I was telling Al, there's a lot of people out there practicing.
That's good news.
It's been really crowded lately.
Just don't stand
And they
around
get to
near
check
the
out our
tree.
new artwork.
That's correct.
There you go.
You're riding your bike now.
Yeah, I'm riding my bike.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Felicia, before you sit down, do we have any sense of where the players are coming from? I mean,
That'd be neat to find
Their
out if we don't know.
registration, I imagine?
There is a formal registration, so we'll certainly capture that information.
Be great.
So, they have to formally sign up for that.
Great, thank you.
Looking for a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jerry?
Yes.
Okay. I can't always hear you down there. Passes 5-0. Anything else?
That's it for me. Thank you, sir.
City Clerk, do you have any?
No, I don't have anything.
Wait, you gotta do number 14.
I don't have a 14.
Yeah, you do.
City council.
I don't have a 14 on this. Oh,
Come on, Doug, it's my favorite event of
Oh,
the year.
No, it's a given answer.
I was getting to that. City Clerk is before that.
All right, you're
If
right.
you, if,
Okay.
Your last,
I hope you're more careful with the vote.
well,
this is almost his last year as mayor. Would you
I
like?
was thinking that this is the voting delegate. I know Dan really likes it, but it is my last year of voting.
That's a good point.
Potential.
I'll make the motion.
You gonna be there at 7 o'clock with me?
Why are you going to be there if I'm there? That's sunshine law violation. I'll
please.
acquiesce to you. You go ahead and rain on my parade. Eric, you want to do it?
I'm going to make a motion that we nominate and select Dan as our representative.
I will
to
second
vote.
that.
I will third that.
Will you still meet me at 7 o'clock for coffee?
Yeah, at night. No, I don't drink coffee.
7 a.m.
I'm gonna vote against you, Dan.
Need a vote.
So just a little bit of history until Dan got on council. Was whoever was the new person on this, we basically, am I correct?
Yep.
Correct, yep. They always became the voting delegate until we got to Dan.
And you
Dan
all,
is on 4 years in a row.
And he likes
And
it.
he
I love
loves
it.
Great. Well, you're good at it.
You're
Well,
good at it.
You never know, there might be somebody new next year, you don't know, so they might have to do it.
You won't let him.
No, I will,
Okay.
but I'll be there with them.
also know who will not take it.
You,
You,
Absolutely.
because you won't be there at all.
unless you can vote, unless you can text your vote in.
No. I may not even be here, who knows?
I know you can't text. I know he can't. That was a joke, Al. Thank you. Okay. All those in favor of
Yes.
the motion? Aye.
Thank you, everyone, thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Yep.
Council comments.
Yes.
That was 4 and 1. All right, council comments. Oh, this pains me. Councilmember Beaverland.
Just thank you for who y'all are. How does it feel to be on the back end of the board?
Not the first time.
I'm usually always on the back end.
It's
of
all
the
good.
board.
I'd rather it be that than me vote and not do what I think's the right thing to do.
I agree, that's why we're all here.
That's it, Mayor.
Councilmember McGee?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councilmember Saraki? The voting delegate, Saraki?
Voting delegates. You sure you don't want to be there? I'll buy you a donut.
It's
7
free.
o'clock.
It's free, that's why you're there.
Actually, the next meeting is after Father's Day, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll wish you all happy Father's Day.
All right.
There you go. I only have one thing. The Memorial Day ceremony that we had this past Monday morning, I thought everyone did a great job, and I was very proud of everyone. And I thought it was a great Memorial Day for the people of the city, and I thought it went really well. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
I'm going to echo that. I thought it was one of our better Memorial Days ceremonies, and the Veterans Advisory Board did such a terrific job. And the Gold Star fathers and Gold Star families, it just came together so well. It was really, I think it was one of our best. I want to give the mayor credit for something and thank staff as well, because he mentioned it in the mayor's minute earlier about bringing the Tourist Development Council to meet here. And, you know, that just sounds like it's a great place to hold a meeting, and we got them here. There's a lot more potential impact by being able to do that, and that's because our mayor has served and serves on that board, which is, by the way, no small feat to have somebody in the north end of the county to be part of that board that actually has a vote on what amounts to millions of dollars that come in through bed tax throughout the county that is reinvested to generate more events and more visitors. And North County has not had any say in that in a very, very long time, and the mayor worked very hard to get in that position and ultimately get voted on to the board. And the fact that he went one step further and brought them all here is really a big deal and a feather in the cap of the city of Oldsmar, and it gives us an opportunity. It's like that, you know, people go, geez, Oldsmar does so many great things, and they're like coming on stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And these are some of the little things that happen behind the scenes that put a lot of hours and a lot of work into that leads to much bigger opportunities, because folks have been up here. You know, I can't tell you how many people told me, geez, I haven't been to Oldsmar in I don't know how long, right? And because Dan and I were out here. And it was just, I want to make a point of saying that, because sometimes when I think people look at council, you know, they only think of us coming to these events, to these meetings and workshops. And that's not the job of council anymore. It's just changed. There's other organizations to be involved in. Almost all of us are involved in some way, shape, or form that helps our city. But that's a really, really big deal. And so I just wanted to thank the mayor and the staff who were here to help put it on and everything, because it really was quite an honor, and it goes a long way to helping our city and other bigger things. So,
Eric, I don't mean to interrupt, but I agree with him. It was a great meeting. I've never been to anything like that. And I do want to thank you, too, for your hard work to get that here in Oldsmar.
Yeah, it's a collective effort. I want to thank Deb to that for standing side by side with me, fighting this fight ever since I became mayor. And you make a great point. You know, there's 24 municipalities in Pinellas County, and if you use Gulf to Bay Boulevard as kind of the dividing line, and I still consider although Clearwater's in North County, they're a beach community predominantly. And so when you kind of either call them neutral or whatever, you know, there's only 4 cities in North County against 20 in the rest of the county. And so it's a struggle all the time. And I thank the county commission for finally listening to the squeaky wheel and trying to balance it out. Because Deb has put together a list numerous times of how many events beyond tourism and the beaches, but how many events happen off the beaches in Pinellas County. And a lot of them happen in North County. And so, as evident by our Gator Nationals and the events that we hold here, this event this weekend. So it's great. It's a tough fight. That the hotelier group is a strong group. You know, it's about $55 million that, you know, they work with. So thank you for the kind words.
Isn't that the part where we got our money for the,
For building the BMX park?
At the initial, or at the vote that was supposed to happen between the TDC, which I was not on at the time, and the county commission, they were positioned to give us the money for the TDC was to give us the money, the track, and unbeknownst to us, and I had to apologize that I wasn't trying to double dip or do anything, a little 10-minute meeting that we had with Ed Hooper months and months and months prior, Commissioner Seal at the joint meeting goes, "Did you know this?" And it had made it in the budget to get the money from the state instead. And I didn't know. So we weren't trying to pull anything, but they were prepared to do it because of the tourism effect.
council, we can be proud. Are you going, we've always had a good reputation. When I was mayor, I was chairman of the Pinellas Planning Council. I was on the executive board of the big western part of the state. I was president of the Council of Mayors. You're gonna be president of the Council of Mayors?
He is right now.
I already am.
Okay, you want, okay, so he brought that. We've had great representations where the other cities haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, a feather to all of us, but and to my, I don't know if you have other items.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
And to piggyback on that, I did write it down. The Mayor's Council is tomorrow. I'm the president of the Mayor's Council. Julie Bajowski's the vice, so that'll give us, if things play out, that'll give us 2 back-to-back representations in North County. And the vision of the Mayor's Council that I have may be different than the other mayors, I don't know, but I want us to be more productive. Tomorrow, we're going to have Senator Brandis is going to be there. I think some of the dialogue is going to be about Airbnbs and similar type of things and local municipalities being able to do it, which then piggybacks on home rule. I know that's going to be a big dialogue.
Short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals, the Airbnb type things, and because the St. Pete Times called me and asked where the event was, and I asked why, what did she have a particular interest, and she was about the short-term rental. So it'll be interesting tomorrow. The only other item I have, and I just want to get clarity from our workshop that we had on, I guess, code enforcement in the CRA and all, whatever the official name of it was. I want to make sure, because an article was written by the Oldsmar Connect in regards to breweries in our direction that we want to go. And I want to make sure that Al and staff are on the same page as the council and what we were thinking, and that, and you guys can wordsmith it all you want, but I think that when we left the workshop, or the direction, or the takeaway from it was that we would like, I think there was some conflict between manufacturing in the CRA, and correct me if I'm wrong, but manufacturing in the CRA, the brewery in the CRA, because it was considered manufacturing and it conflicted with each other, so that would not allow it. And then I think in the warehouse district, it was the opposite of that, that you could have it over there, but you couldn't have food, I think was the so I think the direction was that we would like council, or legal counsel, to review, I think, Safety Harbor, and I think Tom already knows this, to review Safety Harbor in Dunedin to see if we can come to something, because, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I think it was to come back with some language for us that would accomplish
For us to at least review.
Changes.
I think Tom's doing that.
Well, I just want to make sure that it's a consensus that.
Yeah.
There was a consensus.
Okay, that's what I
I was
thought.
gonna ask when we were gonna hear back on that, though, because that has been a few weeks, yes? Since we had that
Right.
session? I wasn't sure. July?
July.
Okay.
At our first meeting in the month of July.
Okay,
By July 1st.
okay. Thank you, Marie.
It'll come before council? It'll come.
You'll have to authorize him to make the ordinance change, but he'll present something so you can see what he's.
Okay, so we're kind of ahead of the game a little bit, I guess, right?
I hope.
Okay, all right. right. I just wanted to make sure, because the article came out, and I guess it provoked a call to the city about that, and I just wanted to make it clear that we were all on the same page, which is, I think what we were, so. I don't have anything else. Happy Father's Day to everybody, and again, our thoughts and prayers are with the Maroney family, and you know, it just, what a great, you're talking about, you know, a great representative of the city and the county and the state, and just a great public servant, and it's tough. That's a big hole to fill. So at any rate, if there's nothing else, Al, do you have anything?
Just shout out for June, our HR administrator is recovering in the hospital from an illness, and she's doing great. She's mad. She wants to go home, which is a good sign.
That's always a good sign.
Let her know we're thinking about her.
And thank you for filling in tonight. You don't need to share the comedy thing with Tom if you don't, you know.
We will.
You know, Tom always ends the meeting with a joke. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
just jump on in there.
5 council members walked into chambers.
All right, never mind.
And with that, meeting adjourned. Rob is his name.
We never have the city manager that hardly smiles, definitely doesn't laugh, doesn't tell jokes. It's been a charm.
Now he's piling on.
And promoting me to city manager.
Yeah, you meant the attorney, not the city manager.
I'll take a picture of it if you want. Let me find it. Unless you want to email it. No, you're fine.
Oh, yeah, he's got a little committee side to him.